What's up, everybody? It's your girl Jay Lee. You're tuned into another episode of Faith Music Fitness, and today I want to share a word with you guys that I like to call for, not from. So this word is actually something that God has spoken to me, and pretty much everything that I speak on here are things that God has specifically told me about my life, and I hope that it will encourage you today. So the theme of this message is that God is protecting you for good things, not from them. And I wrote down a couple notes, so I'll reference that every now and then. But the first thing that I want to say is that oftentimes I think those of us that are walking with the Lord will easily get discouraged when maybe we've been in prayer for something or been in faith for something that we desire for God to do in our lives. For a lot of people, I think that primary thing happens to be marriage. But for other people, it could be specific desires, like maybe you opening up a business or, I don't know, just a breakthrough for something in your life. Maybe there's something that you are holding out for and you are desirous of, but it hasn't quite happened yet. And the thing that I want to encourage you for today, which is, like I said, what God encouraged me in my life, is that He's not protecting you from good things. He's protecting you for them. So I'll use, like I said, the easiest example a lot of the time happens to be relationships that later on people desire to lead to marriage. And so what that looks like a lot of the time is maybe there's someone that you're interested in. Maybe they either approach you for a woman or for a man, you desire to approach them. And shortly thereafter, God tells you no. And if you've been walking with God for any length of time, He might speak to each of us different ways. Sometimes you might read something in the Word and it is a direct answer to something you've been praying about. Other times He might speak audibly and you'll hear Him. But His Word says that His sheep know His voice. And so God will speak to you and give you insight that, nope, that's not the one for you, or nope, that's not the thing I have for you. And in that time, sometimes it can easily look like or become discouraging because you think to yourself, God isn't going to bless me with this thing that I've been saying I wanted. For some people, that's a car. Some people, that's a house. And it's not just about material blessings, but what it is more so, where is your trust in what God has for you? So none of this was based on my my notes, but I will, like I said, I will reference them. But it's really testing whether or not you trust that God has the best thing for you. You might look at something right now and say to yourself, this would work well for me. I like this. It fits my personality. It fits my lifestyle. But life can change in an instant. And God knows who and what you're going to be 5 years from now. But you only have the mindset from where you are right now, from this current point of view, or looking back at your past and saying, this has been my tendency. God knows what you need 20 years down the road. You only see this moment. So one of my first points was that in His Word, He says that no good thing will He withhold from those who love Him. And something that God told me is that I'm too good a father to place a stumbling block in your life. Some of the things that we want are not necessarily wrong, but if we got it in this season of our life, it'd become an idol. It'd become a stumbling block. It would become a distraction for the things that God really desires to do in our lives. And He's too good of a father to put something in our life that's not going to be good for us in this season. I want you to take inventory of what you do have in your life. And I want you to also take inventory of what you don't have. Take a moment to think about it. If I don't have this in my life, is it because of my decisions that I don't have it? Or is it because I've been praying about it, I've been doing the right things, I've been positioning myself correctly, and I still just don't have it? If you find yourself in category A, that means that God has given you the ability and the authority to change your situation. And if you haven't changed it yet, it's up to you. There's a part that God will enable you to play and there's another part that God does in the supernatural. If you are in category B, then I want to encourage you that it's not time yet. And that might sound discouraging, because in some ways you think to yourself, well, I think it will be time. It seems right. This, that, or the other. You could find any reason why you think it might be time. But ultimately, if God didn't put it in your life yet, you either don't have time for it, like a relationship. Ask yourself this. If I got this girlfriend or this boyfriend that I hope would lead into marriage, if I got this relationship right now, would I have the ability and the time to nurture a relationship? Or would it just be another person in my life that would bring excitement for that moment, but that I don't have the ability to really spend the time nurturing a relationship? Just something to ponder on. So like I said, but if you're in category B, it might not even be that you don't have enough time. It could be that you're not developed enough. For other people that maybe are developed and you have time, it could be that this thing comes into your life and then you will then allow it to become an idol. God is not going to place something in your life that will become a stumbling block and that will direct you away from Himself. Every blessing that God gives you in your life, you have the authority and the choice to create an idol out of it. But God doesn't put something in your life that's going to become an idol when He knows the condition of your heart. So if your heart is to honor God and it is to please God, then my suggestion to you and my encouragement to you is to trust Him in His timing. Because honestly, I personally have come to this resolution. I don't want anything that's not in the timing for me, or that God doesn't want for me at all. Reason being, more than likely, that thing is either going to destroy me, or it's going to destroy my relationship with God, i.e., it will destroy me eventually. So just think about that. So, another point is that God cares about my readiness for a thing more than He cares about my happiness for a thing. Now think about that. You're not going to be happy in something you weren't ready for. It might be exciting for the first week, for the first month, for some things, maybe even the first year, if you get that long. But I don't care if it's a financial burden. I don't care if it's a relational burden or situation. If you're not ready for it, you're not going to enjoy it. For example, if you have someone that says, I want to buy a car, that's a good desire. Maybe you have school, maybe you have work where you need to travel and you need transportation. That's a necessity. The type of car, that might vary. You might not need a Mercedes-Benz to drive down to your supermarket job. However, to have a car is really a reasonable desire. So let's say you ask God for a car. You ask Him to help you, to enable you in order to save up for a car and whatever you need. Now, it's not a blessing if you're not ready for the car payment. Or it's not a blessing if you haven't saved up enough money to pay it all out in full. If you can't take care of that monthly insurance and take care of the maintenance for the car and take care of the gas for the car and take care of the care of the car, like washing it, it's not a blessing. That's a curse. And He cares more about you being prepared for something than He cares about you being happy in that moment. Happiness is not what matters most to God. But your readiness for a thing, to be able to be mature enough, that matters more to God. Same exact principle when it comes to marriage. He's not going to bless you with a marriage just so that you can be selfish to your spouse. He's not going to bless you with a marriage just so that you can be more concerned with self-fulfillment and what they can do for you. So if you're not ready for the aspects that come along with the blessing that you're asking for, I would thank God that He hasn't allowed you to have what you're not ready for. And really, in all of these points, I hope that what you see moreover than anything else is not that God wants to withhold good things from you, but it's that He is so good that He will withhold what's not good for you from you, in order that when it is time for you to have it, you'll be able to enjoy it. And let me see. The last point that I really want to make is that there's no blessing that God gives you that doesn't cause you to grow. And if it doesn't cause you to grow, it's not a blessing. Now, the reason why I say that is this. King David was anointed king, but he didn't just automatically walk into the kingdom. He didn't just go in the next day inherit, oh, okay, I'm king now, so I'm going to start ordering this person and that person around. He had to sit and learn and grow from King Saul at that time. He had to learn from him certain aspects of what it meant to be a king, but he also had to allow his heart to be developed. That time when King Saul was trying to kill King David, or appointed King David, during that time frame, God was working on David's heart. He was working on him to allow him to understand, no, even though I might have these things against Saul, it's not my responsibility to avenge who God has appointed. That was spiritual growth. Not only did he have spiritual growth, but he also had to learn in order to grow to become a king. It wasn't just some automatic transition that as soon as, he asked for it, or as soon as he was appointed, that then he became a king. There is no blessing in your life that once you get it, you should be exactly the same as you were before you got it. It shouldn't be that way. So if that's a relationship, you shouldn't stay the same. Now, I'm not saying you should be mutated into something that you're not, but what I am saying is you should be a growing version of yourself. So you should learn how to be more selfless. Forgive the motorcycles, but more selfless, oh my goodness. You should learn how to be more giving. You should learn how to be more responsible. I know when I first got my car, I had no idea what it was like to pay a bill every single month. At that time, I think I was 18 or 19 when I bought my first car. I didn't really have any bills. Not to say I have a whole lot of bills now, but because I still live at home. But I had no concept of how to actually budget every single month. Oh, okay, this much money is going to be going out to my car note and my insurance and my gas every week. I didn't realize that. But what it did is it helped me to manage my money, because sure enough, I had a job at that time, but I could really spend it however I wanted to. And by having a car, I then learned, okay, if I do nothing else, I have to pay these bills, I have to make sure these things are taken care of, and then I can go crazy with my money, which was not the best or smartest decision. But the point I'm making is that it helped me to grow. I didn't stay the same person I was prior to it. Not to say who I was beforehand was bad, but it is to say that I grew from it. And so I encourage you to take inventory again of your life and look at the things that you're asking for. Look at the things that you currently have in your life. And this is a heed to anyone in a relationship. If you're in a relationship right now, and even if it's a friendship, but especially the romantic relationships, if they're not causing you to grow, chances are it's not of God. If you're in a relationship that is not causing you to seek the Lord more, to pray more, to be more sensitive to the feelings of another person, you probably don't need to be in that relationship. Just saying, if it's not causing you to grow, it's probably not good for you. So all in all, I hope that you walk away, like I said, understanding that the heart of God really is to bless us. Now, He has blessings, but He also desires us to have an intimate and deep relationship with Him first. And I think in order to have that, we'll be able to look at the circumstance and say, God is not withholding a good thing from me, but He's maybe protecting me from something that would possibly destroy me right now if I got it in the wrong season, or if I got it in the wrong mindset. So, and His word also says in Matthew, I think it's chapter 6 and 5 or 6 and 3? I'll have to link that down below. But it's seek ye first the kingdom and His righteousness. I want you to pause there. Seek first. out of anything else that you seek in life. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. I know we focus a lot on the B part of that verse, and all these things will be added unto you. But I want you to focus more on seeking God first. God knows the difference between when you're seeking his heart versus when you're seeking his hand. It's like being pursued by someone, as any woman probably knows. When you're being pursued by a man, you can very easily tell the difference if he's pursuing you based on your heart or if he's pursuing you based on your body. And it's a completely different feeling. You can tell how genuine it is. And honestly, you usually want nothing to do with the person that's just pursuing you for your body or for what you have. You want someone that pursues you because they genuinely are interested in who you are. So with that being said, God can tell the same thing. People always say, oh, God knows my heart. Exactly. So get that right. So make sure that, it's nothing wrong with desiring blessings. But what the main focus of your life should be centered around is, God, the ultimate blessing of my life is to be connected to you and to display the righteousness that you are forming within me. So understand this as I come to a close. God is not protecting you from good things. He's protecting you for good things. So thanks for tuning in today. That was another episode of Faith Music Fitness. And until the next time, peace out.